SafeStoreTN.com. Brought to you by the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a cold, nasty cold with 30-mile-per-hour winds Wednesday in Nashville, Tennessee. From our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, it will be an abbreviated show today because Vanderbilt baseball, they're actually going to play today at 4:30. They're going to freeze their you-know-what's off. But anyway, such is the case. We will continue the show after 4:15 for a few minutes by way of our podcast. So, Kelly Holcomb in Murfreesboro, say hello.
Hello.
Beautiful. Billy, say hello.
Good afternoon.
That's wonderful. Let's start the show. Obviously, I had something in mind when I told you all to do that. Terry McCormick is on the line with us. Main Street Media, TitanInsider.com with news you can use. Terry, what's going on?
Well, George, it appears, with the Titans having Cam Ward and, of course, Shedeur Sanders in over the next few days. I think Ward is going to be here on Friday. Sounds like he is starting to pique their interest, and he's piquing their interest enough that maybe they are not as gung-ho on Sam Darnold as some people had initially thought, and they feel like maybe that the Sam Darnold market overall is not going to be as big as it was. They are not out on Sam Darnold, as some people are reporting, but they are not all in on Sam Darnold either, being that they will set a price tag that they feel is reasonable, and they probably won't go over that.
What has caused the sudden love fest in Cam Ward?
I think meeting him at the combine and kind of getting to know him and kind of pick his brain a little bit. This is something that's kind of developed all since they first met him at the combine. It's kind of taken on a life of its own. Now, I'll say this is what I'm getting from the people I've been talking to, but you also got to remember this, George. If they want to auction off this number one pick and get a haul, which is their other option, then they've got to make at least one of these quarterbacks, if not both of them, seem as attractive as possible to possible suitors. So there's that factor in the equation as well. And if that's the case, then they may be overselling Cam Ward here, because it certainly starting to sound like that the Shedeur Sanders love has started to die down.
Yeah. So would I be right in believing that the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants right now would be the most likely trade partners with the Titans?
Yeah, that would seem to be the case. A lot of people are connecting the dots between them and the Giants, and that makes a lot of sense, because if the Giants only like one of the two quarterbacks, they might want to jump the Browns in order to get the one that they want, presumably Ward. There's also the possibility now, if you really want to reboot things and you're the Titans, I know people have talked about, them trading back to 3 to be able to take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter with that pick. But if they were to trade back with the Raiders or the Jets, they could really get a nice haul and get a lot more picks and kind of reboot this thing the same way that John Robinson did in 2016 when he allowed the Rams to trade from middle of the pack up to number 1 in order for them to select Jared Goff.
Kelly, I know you're hearing all of this. Kelly, I know you're hearing all this. Give me some reaction and any questions you may have for Terry.
Yeah, I'm still not sold on the quarterbacks. I understand that, and I think Terry has hit the nail on the head too, because you get so much. We've talked about this before. You get so much lying at this time of year. They've got to they've got to make it look like and sound like, and for everybody around that they're interested in one of these quarterbacks. Because if they want to do something with the number one pick, they've got to figure that out. So I don't know. I was watching today on SportsCenter about Sam Darnold. I don't think the Minnesota Vikings are letting Sam Darnold go. I think they're going to figure out a way to keep him. I don't know. I think all that's dwindling, but who knows? I think there's a couple of days left, so I don't know. How was the Terry? How was the O line? How did the O line look when they were working out? Were they some guys that intrigued guys on the Titans staff, or athletically? How did they look overall?
Yeah, I think they like some of these guys that are prospects in this class. Some of these offensive line guys. I think offensive line and defensive line is kind of where some of the depth is, and I think that the offensive line is one of those areas where maybe at 35 in the second round, you can get a guy who can come in and plug and play, even if he's not a first round pick, to either play that right guard or right tackle position. I think one of those two spots will be filled in the draft at least. And then I think you'll probably see another lineman or two drafted in their allotment of draft picks, but they'll also probably address that with a veteran in one of those spots as well. So it's going to have to be a multi-player deal to fix this offensive line. They're going to need at least 3 new additions, 2 starters and at least 1 depth guy.
How and this is my last thing. Has the Travis Hunter sweepstakes kind of calmed down, or is it still going? Like, what are people around the league saying about him? Because he's kind of an enigma. Like, he's not the top corner and he's not the top receiver, but you can bring that into play. Like, have you heard any word on him?
Yeah, that's kind of died down a little bit. You're not hearing as much out of the Travis Hunter talk, maybe as you were before the combine. I think teams are still probably trying to go and figure out exactly what it is they feel like he needs to be. Is he a corner who can play receiver? Is he a receiver who can play corner? Is he a guy? I don't think he can be a guy who can play 40 to 50 snaps on both sides of the ball at the NFL level. That's not been done since the days of Chuck Bednarik or somebody like that back in the 50s. I think what you got to get in terms of Travis Hunter, you got to make him decide one way or the other. Is he a corner? Is he a receiver? And then kind of go from there. And Brian Callahan said that in their mind, he probably would start out as a corner, and really that's less of a need area for them than a lot of other positions.
Okay, Terry, anything else we need to cover with you?
No, I think that's probably got it about covered, George.
Where will the story be that you're putting out there?
It is on TitanInsider.com. It went up yesterday afternoon, and it's there. It's with a nice big picture of Sam Darnold showing the way.
I'll send you a picture of me. We'll see where that goes.
All right. I probably won't turn that into a story.
No, I would hope you wouldn't. See ya.
See ya.
William.
George.
What do we have in the update world?
Well, we've got a March Madness scoreboard update.
Oh, that is so exciting.
Yes, what everyone's been waiting for. But this update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online, mortgageladieusa.com, or give her a call, 615-969-4350. Our first March Madness scoreboard update of the year is brought to you by the Kentucky and Gonzaga game at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. These two national powers square off Friday, December 4th at Bridgestone Arena. Tickets go on sale this Friday at bridgestonearena.com and on the Ticketmaster app.
Will we, in future March Madness scoreboard updates, get a little sweet Georgia Brown?
I think we can make that happen. Yeah.
Really inquiring minds also want to know too. What time did your little self have to get up this morning? I mean, was everything okay? Did you have your sweet cappuccino, and did you have you a nice little bagel? And I mean, was everything good with you this morning? Because what I've heard that people were thinking about sending a GoFundMe page, but they were thinking
Yeah, it
about
was.
starting a GoFundMe page because you're having to wake up at 7. So lo
Oh,
and
I had
behold,
I had my warm milk that saved me this morning.
did you have a
So,
oh my
croissant?
gosh,
Yeah.
and
good
in my pajamas,
gracious.
it was
What
nice.
kind
You
of gym
realize,
shoe operation are we running
well,
here?
but we've got March Madness scoreboard updates. I mean,
Yeah, how dare
you
you
butted
interrupt
into
the
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We've got women's basketball to talk about in the SEC. Tennessee destroyed Texas A&M 77-37 earlier today. So big win for the Lady Vols.
So
And
if you had A&M plus 39, you're screwed.
yes. By the way, I saw this after the game. Did y'all know Kelly Harper is now on the SEC network set
Yes.
for these? She was right next to, and maybe this doesn't matter, but she was sitting right next to Kim Caldwell after the game, talking to her. Something about that doesn't seem right, but
Yeah.
so you had that after the game.
She's still making a living. I'm sure she's having
Yeah.
to get up before 7 too. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe going to bed before, after 7:30 or 8 o'clock too. So Tennessee gets the win. They will play Vandy tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah.
You can watch that.
Pregame at 7, huh?
Yeah, pregame
Yeah.
at 7. So Tennessee gets the win. Georgia beats Arkansas 79-74. So they move on, and they will play Oklahoma tomorrow. So that one is at 12:30. So that's what we got in the SEC. In the OVC, Southern Indiana beats TSU 90-66, and UT Martin and Western Illinois about to get underway right now. So that's
tomorrow. We'll have a little more meat on that March Madness scoreboard update bone
with
Missouri Valley Conference.
Missouri Valley getting underway.
OVC men, perhaps. I don't know, but
we'll have it.
Dress it up a little.
We'll have more
You're
scores.
out there on the ledge, George. You're about to fall off.
Also, in the normal update, we had a big night for bubble teams last night in the SEC. Arkansas all over Vandy last night, 90-77. Doesn't help when Jason Edwards only has 2 points, 0 for 12 from the field, and 0 for 4 from three-point range.
Who had the dunk for Arkansas in the first half?
Trevon Brazile.
Oh, my God. Julius Irving would have been proud.
That was unbelievable.
Here's what I came away with. Arkansas has as much raw talent as anybody in that league. Some of it's raw. The fact that they have a coach who can't X and O his way out of a paper bag probably doesn't help it either. If you're looking for Calipari to outcoach anybody, good luck. But I'm telling you, they have got some nasty raw talent. They ripped Vandy apart.
And they get their 7th SEC win. They stay on the right side of the bubble. They had to have it last night, and they got it. Vandy will play Georgia on Saturday at 11 a.m. Also, number 1 goes down. Texas A&M beats Auburn on Senior Day at home, 83-72. That's the Aggies' first win over a number 1 ranked team in program history.
They retired Wade Taylor's jersey after the game, and he was really moved by that.
Feels like he's been there forever. Also, Johnny Manziel, I think, was at the game.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo.
That doesn't interest you, George?
Not particularly, no.
No.
Number 19, Kentucky, all over LSU, 95-64. Texas knocks off Mississippi State in overtime, 87-82, and they stay alive barely. I still don't think they're getting in, but they stay afloat above water due to the Longhorns. So they'll have to do some damage in Nashville, and Georgia gets a much-needed win over a struggling South Carolina team, a pesky South Carolina team, 73-64. Tonight, number 7, Alabama and Florida. Big game. Battle for a 1 seed. That's at 6 o'clock, ESPN2. Number 15, Missouri travels to Oklahoma. Oklahoma's basically dead, but somehow Lenardi and these bracketologists still have them right there on the bubble, so they could get a win tonight at home. That's at 7. And then number 4, Tennessee at Ole Miss at 8 o'clock ESPN2. Vols are a slight 2.5-point favorite. That's not going to be easy tonight for the Vols. Also, some news right in the middle of the Atlantic Sun tournament that not a lot of people are happy with. The men's and women's tournaments will be moving away from campus sites to a neutral location with all games in Jacksonville starting next season. This has not been well received.
In Jacksonville?
Yep.
What the hell for?
Money.
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
I mean, when I think of the hotbeds,
Jacksonville.
I mean, when I think of the hotbeds of college basketball, Lexington, Bloomington, Indiana, Jacksonville, not quite.
Well, you look at the
so
teams too. I mean, you got Florida Gulf Coast is not far for them, but EKU, that's not an easy drive. Central Arkansas, not particularly easy. Where's Queens?
Queens is in North Carolina, Charlotte.
North Carolina?
It's in Charlotte. Charlotte.
I was going to say up in New York.
Jacksonville isn't necessarily centrally located for these Atlantic Sun teams.
No, that one's going to get ripped apart a little bit. Also,
in a lot of NFL notes, the Seahawks are releasing veteran wide receiver Tyler Lockett, ending a 10-year run in Seattle. He's 32 years old. He's coming off his least productive season since 2017. Wonder if the Titans take a look at him.
Keep going.
DK Metcalf has requested a trade from Seattle. So all of a sudden, their receiving core not looking great. Bengals defensive end Sam Hubbard announced his retirement this morning after 7 seasons. That came out of nowhere.
He's only 29. That caught people by surprise a little bit.
He was the longest tenured player on the Bengals roster. Yeah. He was there 7 years, tore his PCL against the Titans after he caught a touchdown here in Nashville, if you remember. So, Also, the Raiders are expected to release Gardner Minshew when free agency begins next week. Are the Titans interested?
Who knows?
I mean, if it really gets bared, if things aren't working out, Minshew could be an option. Also, Max Crosby has agreed to a 3-year, $106 million contract extension with the Raiders that makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history.
He's a stud.
He is.
Are we done?
North Carolina and Bill Belichick will actually not be the subject of HBO's Hard Knocks. That looks like that fell through.
Okay.
So that's what we got.
I got to move quick. Little program note here, Kelly. Mike Organ's got to be out by 3:35, and I told him we would get him out by then. The hardest working man in Nashville sports is in the on-deck circle, and you won't believe where we're going to start it. This is 94.9, The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, March the 7th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at BridgestoneArena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. 2 of the best college basketball programs playing right here in Nashville. Act now. Tickets will go quickly. It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hey everybody, Chip Walters here. It's the final week of the regular season in Conference USA. This Thursday night, big matchup with the Flames of Liberty. 6:30 tip-off at the Murphy Center. On the air at 6 o'clock on the Blue Raider Network.
93.3 FM. Totally hits. Totally Nashville.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back. You're watching the podcast form of this. Billy has a picture up of the football stadium where the University of Nebraska plays. It holds about 95,000, and they have not had a ticket available in football since like 1962. Their sellout streak is amazing. They have a great volleyball program, and a year ago, they set out to sell out that place. I don't know who the opponent was, but you can see in the picture 92,000. That serves as a backdrop for us saying hello to the hardest working man in Nashville sports. That's Mike Organ from the Tennessean. Mike, lay the news on us.
Well, George, the Scott Ramsey and the Nashville Sports Council have done a marvelous job over the years, at least the last 25 years, of bringing some really good events to Nashville. And more than anything, I like the diversity with which Scott has brought in events. He's not, zeroed in on one thing like football or basketball, which, are kind of low-hanging fruit. He's gone after some interesting events from time to time, and he's done it big time this time with bringing in a triple-header volleyball match or game, event, I guess, for the start of the 2025 season, and they're doing it in such a big way that Nebraska, you have to say, is the headliner of this event. I mean, you might think that if they were going to do this, it'd start with just some local teams and get it off the ground. But no, Scott's bringing Nebraska in, which, like you said, filled up their football stadium a couple of years ago. They've won 5 national championships and finished runner-up 5 times. It is by far the premier program in the NCAA college volleyball today. So Nebraska will start things off by playing Kentucky, which is the reigning SEC champion. They'll play at 11 o'clock, followed by Tennessee, which went to the NCAA tournament this past season, 2024, against Purdue, and which also went to the NCAA tournament. And then the day will end with Vanderbilt in its inaugural season taking on Illinois. So you've got 6 teams, 5 of which played in the NCAA tournament last year. And the only reason Vanderbilt didn't play in it is because they didn't have a team. So they started a big way with their first volleyball event. This is the first time that the Sports Council has gotten into volleyball, and they're doing it big time. And all this at Bridgestone Arena on the Sunday before Labor Day, August 31st.
Yeah, and our congrats to Scott and his staff. Where did the idea come from?
From what I understand, Michelle Kennedy, who is a vice president for the Predators, and I think she kind of runs Bridgestone Arena, was trying to put together a doubleheader for Vanderbilt. Michelle is a Vanderbilt grad, and she was trying to help Vanderbilt put together a doubleheader and to start its season off in a big way. And I don't know if she was talking to Tennessee about being a part of it or not, but I do know she was talking about a doubleheader. And Scott calls her out of the blue and says, what would you think about doing a volleyball event at Bridgestone? And she says, well, I'm already working on a doubleheader for Vanderbilt. Why don't we just make it a triple header and include Nebraska? Let's just throw in the premier program in the country and make it a triple header. And instead of just doing it out at Vanderbilt, let's do it at Bridgestone Arena. And they made it happen. And Michelle Kennedy's cut from the same cloth that Scott is. They think big. They don't take no for an answer very often. They don't give up. And this is what they ended up with. But basically, it kind of started as trying to help Vanderbilt get its program started in a big way. And it evolved into what it's going to be.
It's supposedly, and Mike, I've seen enough volleyball to know it's fun. People enjoy it. Supposedly, it's the fastest growing sport out there.
Yeah, Scott said that during the news conference yesterday, that it was the fastest growing on-campus sport so it's the fastest growing women's sport. Okay, let me back up. Fastest growing sport in college right now is volleyball. It is the fastest growing women's sport as well. And from what I read yesterday, it's the fastest growing sport globally. Forever we heard soccer was the fastest growing sport. That goes back to my high school days, George. And I kept saying, how can it keep growing if it's been growing for 20 or 25 years? But we did. We've seen what soccer grew into. But from everything I've read and researched, volleyball has surpassed soccer now as the fastest growing sport out there, like you said.
It's a really cool idea. I hope it goes well. Kelly, you got 6.5 minutes with Mike.
Kelly dropped. He's trying to hop back into the stream.
Kelly dropped. Wow. Okay.
Kelly was blown away by the volleyball news.
I guess he was. So tomorrow night, Lipscomb and Queens. This is a big deal. They're 2 wins away from getting the automatic berth in the NCAA. And Mike, I kind of think they're going to do it.
I do too, George. I went out and I saw Lipscomb play Queens in the regular season, and Lipscomb is better than Queens. However, Queens came back and beat them that night on a late shot, but Lipscomb's better than Queens. And I feel like Lipscomb will win that game and get in the championship, and then that'll be the automatic berth there. So yeah, I think Lipscomb's going to get its second NCAA berth in history. going back. I think they in 17 they had one. I went with them that year to Charlotte, and so yeah, I think they played North Carolina. So it's just kind of chalk at this point. They just need to take care of business, basically. I hate to use that cliche, but like I said, they should have beaten Queens here, and I think that loss will probably benefit them a little bit. Certainly not to take Queens lightly, and so I think they'll win that game and then win the championship after that. I think by far, and we talked about this last week, Lipscomb men have the best chance of getting in the tournament this year. No doubt Belmont has a shot, MTSU has a shot, but Lipscomb is out in front of all the rest of them.
You know, the middle part of this on the men's side has kind of gone under the radar. They play Liberty tomorrow night in a huge game. And, Mike, I wouldn't rule out that they get in.
No, absolutely. That is a huge game. That's as big a game. I'm seeing it all over social media. That's as big a game as MTSU's been involved in a while. And maybe the biggest under Nick McDavid. I'm not sure, but it's got to be close to the biggest game. I know they struggled last year, but they've made a comeback this year. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see MTSU get in. And let me say this. I didn't mention Tennessee State a while ago, but Tennessee State is the hottest team in the OVC and has been since about mid to early part of January. Started this season, I want to say 4-6 in the conference, something like that, and has really come on strong and ended up with the 3 seed in the Ohio Valley Conference. And it's not a conference with great teams, so I wouldn't rule Tennessee State out. Brian Collins has got his team playing well right now, and they start the OVC, I believe, tomorrow night up in Evansville, and I think that they've got a shot. So we've got, 4 teams, if you include Belmont, that it wouldn't be a shock if they got in.
We had the young guy, Tyler Lundblade, on yesterday. And I knew he was red hot and had been on fire. What I did not know until I kind of researched it is that he's the number 1 3-point shooting field goal percentage player in NCAA.
Yeah. Hey, I did a story on Tyler at the beginning of the season because of his journey. He's a walk-on, and the walk-on era may be over, George, with all that's going on with the NCAA and the new restrictions on scholarship limits. So, he may be one of the last walk-ons that we see. But not only is he a walk-on, but he's one of Belmont's best players. And he had a connection going back to Tim Jankovich, a former Vanderbilt assistant who he played under. And so he transferred here from a couple of Texas schools. And Casey Alexander, the Belmont coach, told me, and just kind of nonchalantly while I was doing that story, he's the best shooter in Belmont history. I said, he kind of said, well, Tyler's our best shooter. And I said, best shooter on this team? He goes, no, our best shooter ever. And I said, since you've been the coach? And he said, no, probably in Belmont history.
Wow.
So that tells you a little bit because Rick Byrd had some pretty good shooters over the years because Rick Byrd leaned so heavily on the 3-pointer. So that tells you a little bit about him being, you point out he's the number 1 3-point shooter in the country right now, all schools. So, mid-majors and majors and everything. He's a shooter. He's a player. Now, on defense, you're not going to get the same effort from him, but he's going to put some points up.
Okay.
Paging Taylor Barnett.
Well, who knows? We'll ask Taylor next Monday. Kelly, you have all of 1 minute. Go.
Oh, wow. What am I thinking here? Oh, so, Mike, tell me this. obviously they're in the Missouri Valley Conference, a tougher conference, man. Like, do you know how much longer their contract goes in the Missouri Valley Conference? And do you think that they'll be thinking about making a move with that? Man, that conference is really hard. You got Drakes, you got the Bradleys of the world, you got Missouri State, you got all these teams that are really good. And then, they leave the OVC and they wanted to go to a better conference. There is more competition, but the overall goal is to get into the NCAA. You think they'll ever make that change?
I could not rule that out. And let me say this, Kelly, all those years that we were saying, that they might go to the Missouri Valley, we always said, well, I don't know if they will, but I wouldn't rule it out. I would say, and I hope I say this right, I would say that I would not rule out getting out of it stronger than them getting in it, if that makes sense. I would not be surprised if they reverse this decision and get out. I don't know if they go back to the OVC. I don't know where they go. But this season is pivotal. This is huge. If they get in this year, then, all bets are off. They may be good. And they've only been at this only the third year, so maybe this is a part of the timetable. But this is a huge year, and they either need to get to the championship, they either need to win the championship or at least get to the championship. And the problem with that is, that still doesn't mean you're going to get an NIT. I don't think they have that same deal unless they may, where if you finish runner-up, you get to the NIT. I don't know if that agreement still exists, but Belmont needs to be in the postseason this year beyond the Missouri Valley Conference tournament.
Mike, you need to run. Promised we'd get you out, and we're doing it.
I appreciate it, guys. I don't know if you've heard, but I'm pretty hard working, so I've got something coming up. So that's why I need to run.
Zoom meeting.
I love it. Okay, talk to you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
After the break, guess who joins us?
Danny
Evans. I don't know where he is, but we're going to talk a little baseball with him. We're 3 weeks from today from opening day in the bigs, and I, for one, cannot wait. Danny Evans up next on 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, March the 7th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at BridgestoneArena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. Two of the best college basketball programs playing right here in Nashville. Act now. Tickets will go quickly. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
On 94.9 The Fan.
Our frame, we'd like to keep those of you who are with us. Danny Evans will be anchoring our baseball coverage throughout the season. I wanted to get kind of a sneak visit before the season started, and he joins us. Okay, back up just a little. I want to see the picture. Oh, man, that's Wrigley Field, isn't it?
From the pitcher's mound.
Oh, man.
Let's just say when you have friends in Wrigley places, you can get photos once in a while.
I love that. That is beautiful. So you and I talked about this yesterday. It feels like the hurricane thing that kind of destroyed Tropicana Field, where the Tampa Bay Rays wanted to be playing and have for years played. It feels like the whole expansion talk has just kind of hit a lull, at least temporarily.
It does, George, and I don't think it's because Major League Baseball doesn't want to expand. I think the Athletics and the Rays situations are very unique, and in both cases, until they get figured out, it's going to be hard for baseball to look at another site for expansion, because some of those expansion sites, including Nashville, might be a site for one of those two teams if they can't get their stuff together in the current situation.
I've been told that Nashville, somewhere in city government, whatever, reached out to Tampa to offer, our city's help in the deal. They instead went with the Steinbrenner facility in Tampa. You think that's a 1-year deal and then they got to do something?
I don't know. We saw that footage just a moment ago. I mean, that stadium got destroyed. It's already a subpar venue. For me, probably last year, the second worst team facility in baseball. And I think they probably didn't want to abandon Florida from Major League Baseball standpoint, but not only Nashville, but I'm guessing there were other venues like Charlotte who might have reached out at the same time. And George, here's the key. It's kind of like a tryout. If you display as a city that you can really do a great job hosting a season or two, it's a great situation. It's much like the NCAA does for the basketball tournament. Venues get first and second round host, and then they get a regional. And if they do a great job, some of them become the Final Four site.
Don't you think that's kind of going on out west, where Salt Lake City suddenly has a hockey team, and that's giving them the ability to show MLB, hey, we can handle all this stuff?
Yeah, and I think Portland's going through the same thing. You've seen a lot of stuff in the media recently where Portland has a site picked out. I don't think they have an owner yet, but they've done a real nice job getting out there. And George, I think through the years I've learned the teams that do the best jobs getting out in front of the expansion situation tend to be really strong candidates and sometimes finalists.
We'll just wait and see. I croaked a couple of days ago when I saw the Sean Murphy injury. I do wonder if Alex Anthopoulos maybe is going, why did I let Travis d'Arnaud out of here? One of the names that's out there that the Braves very quietly signed in the offseason is a Vanderbilt guy, Kurt Casale.
Yeah, he was a solid big league player. He was a real good player at Vandy. I think the people in Nashville know him so well. And I think, George, at that position, you're going to have people get hurt throughout the year. I mean, it's just really hard to get through a big league season with two catchers. You usually go through 4 or 5. This is not a season-ending injury, and I think the Braves are probably more dependent on some of their key guys coming back. But I think too, the Braves have a really good catching prospect who might be able to step in and take the burden and take some of the responsibilities at this point. I think you really never know about an injury until you get deeper into the spring. They'll have a good feel before they leave camp and start the season. And, Murphy's a real good player, but every single catcher in the big leagues gets dinged over the course of the year. And it's just something you have to live with.
Okay, you want to see Kelly's smiling face?
Hello, Kelly, smiling face.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's a wicked cold day here in Iowa today. We have a blizzard going on. So let's just say it's nice to be inside.
Yeah, better you than me, man. I'm over. If I didn't see snow again, I'd be okay.
I was looking
promise.
for you when I was shoveling this morning, Kelly, and you were nowhere to be found.
You're
Nor
not going to
was
find
I.
me.
Let me say, nor was I.
The thing about it, Danny, is I'm still surprised that you take George's calls, man. Good for you. Good for you.
Wow.
Oh, there's an answer there, but I'm going to leave it because I want to stay on George's good side a little bit here.
I know. So tell me a little bit about this new deal where artificial intelligence and the strike zone. How does that work, and how are the rules, and how is it keeping up with the pace of play?
It's a great question. We have the technology now to get it even more right. And I think for all of us as fans, and we're all fans of different sports and multiple sports, and what do you always want? You always want it to get right. I was watching the Knicks play the Warriors last night. I'm a big Warriors fan, and there were a couple calls in the game that, the referees got it right. And I think baseball has had I'd say, Kelly, a very flexible strike zone over the years. You knew umpires that were tighter, taller, smaller, we're more hitter or pitcher friendly. Now we have the technology to measure that, which is even more amazing. We knew which umpires now are more hitter friendly, more pitcher friendly. Teams exploit that frequently. There's stuff that comes out on the internet every day about the umpires in that game, and teams, look around and they pitch accordingly and hit accordingly. I love the idea. It's been used in the minor leagues a great deal the last few years. It's been talked about for 10 years. I think everybody's comfortable with it because everyone played with it in the minor leagues. It's very quick, Kelly. I mean, really quick. You just tap your head and the screen comes up and it's ball or strike. The problem I see is in a 15-1 game where everything should be a strike. The artificial intelligence is not going to go, yeah, it's a long day. It's not going to look at rainy days or snowy days. It's going to be very black and white. I think it's going to actually be pretty cool. And I look forward to it being used. I think you got to be careful who is doing the petitioning because some pitchers think, just like NBA players, that they never committed a foul. Well, some pitchers think every pitch is a strike. So it's going to be tough trying to decide who's going to make that call. And the third base coach, the first base coach, they can't see. The guys in the dugout, the manager and the pitching coach, they can't see. So it's going to be somebody in the line of sight. And I think we're going to have to get some of the cobwebs out of that before it becomes something at the big league level next year.
It's kind of amazing that I'm sitting here thinking, and the NFL has had it for a long time. The NBA's had it for quite a bit. Major League Baseball just started, overturning plays and things like that. But balls and strikes, how are the umpires How are the umpires dealing with it? I know that they understand that it's part of the game, and that's the way the game is going. There's so much money in the game. Like, have you heard anything about what their takes on all this is?
Well, they're still going to call the game, and they're going to call the game and get 98% of them right. I mean, they're really, really good. We
Really
found
good.
out with replay, they're better than we think. And I think it's the hardest sport to officiate. It's 300 pitches plus a game with movement and all sorts of foul balls and everything. The umpires must be okay with it, Kelly. It's a great question because they just ratified a new agreement and they knew that the ABS system was part of it. I think umpires like being proven correct in most cases. And I think what we've learned as fans with replay is that our eyes tend to work with our heart very well and not always with facts. So I think what we have here is a situation. I think we're going to see people get used to it. The weird part is how they're going to do the strike zone. They're using percentages of height. I don't have the exact percentages in front of me, but literally they're going to do a percentage of the batter's listed height, which they're going to calibrate and then set it up accordingly. So it won't be some intern in a TV truck at Fox's compound like they've had for years. Now it's going to be an actual listing of what you look like in person. And I think some guys are going to like it. Strike zone's going to be a little lower. Kelly, it's probably going to get to the belly button and not much more. So as a result, you're going to see some guys with longer torsos, longer legs. They'll be adversely affected.
Wow. That's you don't even think about stuff like that. That's pretty cool. So I know that you keep up with this, and hey, you're one of your former teams is not scared to spend money. We know that. But like, who have you looked at in the off season that has had a really good with signing players, which has upgraded their teams?
And I just want to talk to the Dodgers point. They didn't outspend everybody on those guys. In many cases, those players took less to play with the Dodgers than they did to go to other clubs. And Kelly, as a former player, you get it. You get a chance to win. You got a chance with Ohtani on your club and that nucleus. You got a chance to win every year. And for most players, that's why they play. They play to win because when it's all over in their mid to late 30s, they want to be able to say they were part of it. I think the Dodgers had a great offseason. Sasaki pitched amazing last night. I've seen him a ton. He's going to be unbelievable. That split, I think, might be the best pitch in the game in 2025. I think the Mets did a good job. The Mets rebuilt their club. I think Boston did a good job, although it was methodical. I think the Yankees did a great job. When you lose Soto and still have a good offseason, you've done the job. And I think Arizona did a great job signing Burns. So I think there's 5 or 6 teams who did really well. There's a few clubs that I wonder if they had electricity running to their teams or maybe their phone lines were down. You just wonder what they were doing. They didn't have any semblance of making their clubs better. But Kelly, I think what we're going to have is 2 or 3 great races in divisions this year.
What just answer me this: did the White Sox get better?
Well, I saw a quote where they said, "We think we're better this year." Kelly, you lose 121, you better get better. I don't know. When you get that paycheck every 15 days, I don't think you want to be proud about being worse. I don't think they got better. They traded Crochet. They're going to trade Robert. So I think in a weird way, their roster is actually worse this year than it was last year. And I think they're going to lose a heck of a lot of games again this year. And I think the Rockies are in the same boat. The Rockies, the Marlins, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything at all. And I don't think they deserve to be very good as a result.
Is there anybody, sorry, George, just one
No,
more.
go
Is
ahead.
there anybody that you suspect will have a breakout season? Nobody really is thinking about them. Is there anybody that could, take that on?
I think the Cubs are going to have a good year. I like their nucleus. I like the Mariners. The Mariners fell apart a little bit last year offensively. I think they're better than that. And I think, Minnesota for me is a club that fell apart the last month and a half of the season because of injuries to three really good players. Those guys are healthy now. I think the Twins are coming in with something to prove in 25. And I think, Kelly, you never know, because in baseball you get out to a bad start, you're usually done. It's really hard to make up a bad start because you play so many games. It's hard to dig out. But I think in this case, you've got a couple clubs that on paper, with 3 weeks to go before 28 teams open up, I think there's some clubs that are walking into this season who look to be better.
Danny, last thing. What do you think Rob Manfred does with the Pete Rose family petition to get him off the ineligible list?
Yeah, I know it's sensitive for a lot of people. I am not a Pete Rose guy. I knew him, and I'll leave it at that. Everybody in baseball signs a document that they saw Rule 21. And I think Rule 21 has everything to do with gambling on your team and on the game. And there was one individual in Washington who's talking about the fact that he never bet against his team, but when he didn't bet, it was a giant heads up that he was not favoring his team that day. So I think to say that I'm okay with it, I would be absolutely full of BS, because I don't think he belongs in the game. I think he's in the same boat as Joe Jackson. I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And yes, he was a great player, but he made some serious mistakes off the field. And I think as a result, he's paid for him. And, now he's gone. I don't think there should be any changes. I think Rob has a really tough situation, George, candidly, but I hope he leans towards not reinstating him and not making him whole.
Okay. We'll figure out when we get closer to the season, the day you're going to be on every week. Danny, thank you. Number one, it means better weather soon. God, I hope so. And secondly, it means baseball's around the corner, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I just love sifting through channels at 10 o'clock at night, seeing games going on. George, that's a big time thing for me. Good to see both of you.
Same here. Okay, back off again. Let me see Wrigley. Oh, yeah. It doesn't get any better than that. Danny, thank you.
See you guys.
Danny Evans, he is truly the best. And when we got him, we got as good a baseball man out there as you could humanly get. Thrilled about that. After the break, stat of the day, some football talk that I've kind of pushed to the side, but it's time to get into it. This is 94.9, The Fan.
Hey everybody, Chip Walters here. It's the final week of the regular season in Conference USA. This Thursday night, big matchup with the Flames of Liberty. 6:30 tip-off at the Murphy Center. On the air at 6 o'clock on the Blue Raider Network.
93.3 FM. Totally hits. Totally Nashville.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is going on now. Get up to 40% off in every department, including 4K TVs, computers and accessories, Bluetooth headphones, furniture, and more. Plus, we have all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. And buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com with express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
If you missed the latest from Robbie and Rex Road.
Those guys didn't throw. We just have to get used to this, guys. Like, it's what it's going to be. It's like, why am I going to this unfamiliar situation when it's on NFL Network and there's way more pressure on some stupid drill like this anyway than there should be? And what is it really going to help me? It's only going to hurt. The chances of it hurting you are way higher than it helping. Again, unless you're Jamarcus Russell and you throw 80 yards on your knees and everybody's gaga about it, then of course that means nothing.
Right. I mean, I think you got to be real careful this time of year of stock rising and falling and the conversations around that.
Very.
Some of that comes from, reputable NFL sources, but some of it, oftentimes comes from teams posturing with each other and trying to position themselves the best they can for the draft. It's lying season. That's talked about a lot. You're going to hear a lot leading up to the draft about, and Titans are probably going to be centered in a lot of it, right? Like, I'd be stunned if they don't come out of this week with Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward meeting with them at the facility, and some of the conversation now there is, man, the Titans say they really love Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Right. It's like, okay, well, did they actually really love Cam Ward and Shedeur?
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Talking a little college football coming up, but first stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we're going more college hoops today. Alabama has back-to-back seasons of having the highest scoring offense in the country. Who was the last team to accomplish this feat? A little hint, it's a big-time program.
Okay. One thought would be, Kelly, the UNLV that won in the 90s and then lost to Duke in the semis. They were a high-scoring offense, but something tells me it's later than that.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if it's Michigan Fat Five.
Yeah.
You know?
Something like that. Duke, North Carolina, Michigan. You might be right. I don't know, George. I just know, like would the UNLV be a big time program anymore? You know,
Yeah,
like
not
they were big
anymore.
time back then. Yeah.
Yeah. Ever since Tark vanished from the scene, not so much so. So let's go ahead and put it up there just under the category of we're never going to get this. Sean Murphy.
Not Sean Murphy.
And not
Gonzaga.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
And how many nets have they cut down?
Nada.
Yeah.
Advantage George.
We welcome all of you into what will be an abbreviated 4 o'clock hour. We will give way on radio at 4:12 to Vanderbilt baseball. We will continue some of our football conversation by way of the podcast after that. So if you want bonus coverage, bonus Plaz and Kelly, there's help for you. You can seek treatment.
There is help. We can give you a 1-800 number.
Call it now. You need it. Okay, so Kelly, as you know, there have been these ongoing talks, and apparently next week, this is going to heat up again, where Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, the czar of the Big Ten, have gotten together and basically said, let's screw over everybody else. Let's implement, starting in 2026, a college football playoff system that totally favors us and tells the others to get the hell out of the way. And as you know, this has not gone over well across the country. Billy, for those watching by way of podcast, here is what they're proposing. They're proposing that both the SEC and the Big Ten are automatically guaranteed 4 teams each. The ACC would get 2. The Big 12 would get 2. The group of 5, once again left as roadkill, gets 1 team. Boy, they were nice about that, weren't they? And I'm guessing when they say at large, isn't that Notre Dame?
Yeah, that'll be Notre Dame pretty much every year.
So,
y'all really think that?
I mean, outside of Notre Dame, what at-large team, unless there's an SEC team that you think should be in, and if Notre Dame goes 9-3, they're probably not getting into this. But if they go 10-2, they're probably in just about every year.
So I'm almost going to use a political analogy here that you used to hear years ago about Watergate. Why did Nixon feel the need when he was going to blow McGovern out no matter what? Why do Sankey and Petitti feel the need to come off as bullies when their league is good enough? If they've got the teams, they're going to get in. Kelly, why are they doing this?
Just for power, George, because they can. They're the Big Ten, the SEC is what's driving college football now. I don't think it's the ACC anymore. I don't think it's the Big 12. I can see them getting dissolved up in 5-6 years. And the SEC and Big Ten are the ones that's going to be around. So, last year Sankey was probably a little upset because Alabama didn't get in, and they would have been the fourth team. So, I don't know. You could have a down year, but it guarantees you 14. I don't know. I wouldn't think that would go over well with the ACC or the Big 12 myself. I wouldn't. I don't know. We've all discussed all this, and we talked about 12 teams, and now we're probably going. Tony Basilio's talked about it a lot, saying that they're going to have 14 teams. 12 teams were too many to me. Like, what are they going to do with this 12-team playoff to make this thing not linger out and not keep going so long into the NFL playoffs? Like, what are they going to do? Because at the end, I was over it. I was ready for it to be done. But, like, they're going to have 12 teams for sure. But if they go to 14, like, when are we going to start the season? Are they going to start the season earlier? How are they going to expedite these playoffs? I just think, for me, college football needs to be done in the 1st of January. That's just me.
Okay, I think, see if you all buy this. At the point on that Friday night where Notre Dame was going to host Indiana in the first ever home campus deal, I think there was a tremendous amount of excitement around the country. But I'm kind of like you, Kelly. As it went on, there was sort of this fatigue for me of, good God, how many more rounds have we got? And so when you put that out there, I'll admit, I kind of feel the exact same way you do. But we both know what's driving this. They believe that they can go back to ESPN and they can get more money by adding more games. And that's the reason they're doing it.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, it's all about money. We've talked about that a bunch on the show, that everything is driven by money now. But I don't. They've got to fix. And you know what? It was the first time that this has ever happened. So I'm sure they're going to come back to us that are disgruntled about it, saying, well, hey, you got to give us time. You got to give it time. But over my lifetime, over your lifetime, Billy's short lifetime, the NFL playoffs are what makes the deal in January and February. That's the deal. Like, everybody's ready for the January 1st games. We get all that because that's when I grew up, you couldn't wait for New Year's Day because you had the Orange Bowl, you had the Cotton Bowl, you had all these big bowl games, and now they've got 87 bowl games. So they've kind of messed that up a little bit. I understand that it's more for everybody else, but they've got to do something, George. And I feel as though, as a traditionalist guy, that the NFL is supposed to be from January to February, and then college football needs to be over at the 1st of January. Figure it out some way. Now, whether they're going to do that and whether they listen to me or you, I'm sure they don't care. They don't care because it's making money, but I think you're probably right. I think they will go back to ESPN, and right now, college football is a cash cow, and you're going to get what you want.
I'm with Kelly. It feels like college football has lost a little bit of its niche, especially the timing of it now, basically competing with the NFL playoffs. I mean, it's not as deep as the NFL playoffs go, but it's more similar, and if they expand the playoff, it'll be right up there with it. So if you're college football, why why would you want to compete with the NFL? And maybe there's no stopping it now, but I'm with Kelly. Try to get together and find a solution to stop this now, as opposed to letting it, because I mean, the further this goes, the more this is just going to be minor league football. And it's not, I mean, it's not college football anymore. These are professional, treated like professional athletes, and these coaches are making 10s, 15s, $20 million a year. So, I mean, is it too late now? I hope not. But I'm with Kelly. I mean, you can't lose your niche that you had in college football.
About the time, Billy, think about it, because you're a big Notre Dame fan. About the time that Notre Dame and Penn State were going to play on that Thursday night, and then the Friday night game was going to be Ohio State at Texas. Well, I say at Texas. It was in Dallas.
Yep.
You decide if that's neutral. It was about at that point that I think we all kind of looked up and said, wow, this may be too much.
Yeah, but I mean, why not go with, is going down to 8 out of the equation, I wonder?
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, that ship sailed, man. They're not going back. I don't think they are. And I'm like George. I'll say, when Notre Dame and Indiana played, everybody was excited. But then that everybody came to the realization was they're trying to give everybody a shot. They're trying to give these 12 teams a shot. But it was so lopsided in the first couple of rounds that, like, the excitement wore off, because you knew that SMU going up to Penn State's not going to work. Indiana, the first time they've been in, but it's not going to, it's not, like, I'm glad for the story, and the story was great, and I'm not saying they can't go further, but like, it just didn't do it for me, and they've got to figure something out.
It felt like that some of the momentum, the excitement got lost. Notre Dame handled Indiana pretty handily. SMU was never in the game at Penn State. That was over about the time the woman said, "And the home of the brave," national anthem. Clemson, Texas was fairly okay.
It was competitive a little bit.
Yeah, and the Tennessee-Ohio State game shortly after halftime was over. I know we're about to run so that we can get Vanderbilt baseball on time. That's sort of where we'll pick up the discussion when we come back by way of podcast, to say there's a lot more to discuss. So stay tuned. We've got Vanderbilt baseball coming up. Billy, who do they play?
St. Bonaventure.
Good for them. They're going to freeze their butts off. Play-by-play is coming up next on 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, March the 7th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at bridgestonearena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. Two of the best college basketball programs playing right here in Nashville. Act now. Tickets will go quickly. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. We've been talking a little bit about what's going on in college football right now. It appears that they're about to, perhaps as early as a week from now, expand the college football playoff from 12 to 14 teams. And Kelly and Billy, if you will, go ahead and put that thing back up there. The SEC wants to be guaranteed 4 teams. Same story with the Big Ten. In their proposal, the ACC would get 2, so would the Big 12. The group of 5 left as roadkill would get 1 team, and at large, which to me feels like Notre Dame, would also get 1 team. Kelly, what it really feels like to me is Sankey has come off, and he's caught a lot of criticism for this. He's come off as kind of a bully.
Yeah, but do you think it matters to him? I mean, the SEC is bullies now. Like they're the major conference in. Well, they weren't last year in football. I think the Big Ten. They were better from top to bottom last year in football, but the Big Ten had the teams at the top that were better. But if you look at what they're doing in basketball now, and you look what they're doing in baseball, UT won the national championship last year. They're 1 or 2 again this year. I heard somebody like Paul Feinbaum talking the other day that basketball is really good, but baseball is even better than basketball in the SEC. So they kind of hold the cards now with everything. And I don't think that he really cares. He's going to do what's best for his league, and he's got the power in the country right now. Even I think it's even over the Big Ten. I would argue that I don't really
he
think
seems to have really sought out Petiti. I don't know if it's to deflect all the criticism of him or
no
that the two of them get in bed together and, come off as a unified deal. But it is interesting that he's really sought out Petiti.
Yeah, because they're the biggest. They're the 2 biggest conferences left. Like the ACC presents no problem. The Big 12 presents no problem, so that's his ally, the Big 10, and he can go to him and say, "Hey, here's what I'm thinking, and if we can maneuver this the right way, then we can get 8 teams of our conferences, 4 from yours and 4 from mine, into the college football playoffs every year." So I don't know, George. I think it's a power move. It's a power grab, but right now he is the power in college sports and in college in the realignment stuff in college conferences. He's the guy.
What conference behind the SEC and the Big Ten, outside of those 2, has the best chance of staying afloat?
To me, it's the Big 12.
Big 12.
I agree. Yeah. The ACC is a lost cause.
ACC's in SEC country. They're kind of in Big Ten, like they're in trouble. Big 12 has kind of got they've got their own imprint, their own brand, and I can see that being out that way. I can see them hanging around, being the third big conference, but I think the ACC's in trouble.
Although, let me say this, within the last week, has the ACC not secured Clemson and Florida State and gotten them out of lawsuit territory?
Correct.
Yeah,
and that's sorry, Billy, I'll let you go, but that's what when you started saying that, I was like, but with Florida State and with Clemson, whatever happened with them in the court case, I mean, that's a big, because those are the two biggest teams in the ACC. So that's a big deal for the ACC. I just still think the ACC is not on very firm ground.
Yeah, I mean, the Big 12, and I know we're talking football, but just conference as a whole, it's better than the ACC. It doesn't have, there's not a good feeling around the ACC right now.
Especially given that basketball has kind of died on the vine, other than Duke.
Yeah. And who's to say that, they might have secured Clemson and Florida State, but what's stopping Greg Sankey from going to North Carolina and saying, hey, you want some SEC? I don't know how realistic that is, but Greg Sankey's not,
but
as long
you
as
can't add one.
Yeah,
it's a scheduling nightmare.
North Carolina and Virginia, those are two that have been floated out there. Like, is the SEC done? I don't think so. Is the Big Ten done? Probably not.
Who knows? Here's the thing. Y'all tell me what you think here. So he's been a bully, honestly, all along. He really has been. And as somebody who knows him well said to me a couple of days ago, Sankey thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. Throws out a bunch of big words. But when you get past all of it, he doesn't give a damn about group of five or good of the game. I mean, there's no, what's the word? He could care less about the game. It's all about the SEC. And now that he's formed this alliance with Petiti, it's all about the Big Ten. So why are the little guys not getting in a room and telling him to go to hell?
They might not have much negotiating power right now, George. I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm worried about, and Coach Donnelly's told me this for years, but I've been worried about college football because it's going to be the haves and the have-nots, and the haves are the ones that can raise the money. Like most college programs in the country, they lose money. Like the Ohio States, the Alabamas, the UTs, they don't. But the majority of schools in the country, whether you're in a big conference or not, you're going to lose money because you can't fill the seats up. I know the TV packages help you a little bit with sharing, but with all the expenses that they have to pay, and especially like schools like the Murray States of the world, the Tennessee Tech, all these schools, like, in years to come, I'm not sure how this is gonna work itself out. I don't know if it can work itself out, and I think a lot of the things that are happening at TSU right now, and that's certainly not a football deal, but like I think all this can start happening at other places. What's happening at TSU, and I can see football programs and programs being dropped because they just can't afford to do it anymore.
The only thing that I think the two biggest conferences care about the little guy is the 3 games that they play non-conference in football, where they can schedule them by, poor old UL Monroe, the sad sack. When was the last time they had a home game where they played anybody? Because every year they go to Alabama, get beat 61-2 and get a check. That's the only thing anymore that the highest level of the Southeastern Conference seems to care about with the little guy. You're just there because we need you for the first few weeks of the season, and then you can go jump in the lake.
George, as you always say, cannon fodder. That's what they consider. That's what they consider the little schools, cannon fodder.
But is that good for sports?
That's how some of these smaller teams go in and play, and you get demoralized and you get just beat up, but you get a nice check for the athletic department. So I don't think that's good, but hey, that's been happening for a long time. I played #1 Florida State, #1 Nebraska, so I hope Coach Donnelly got a good check after that, because after the Nebraska game, I was sore before the game was over, which kind of sucked, Coach. It really did.
Those are the games that have to stop, though, eventually, right? I mean, those Alabama versus UL Monroe. I mean, why are we still playing those?
Well, okay, but let me ask you this. In the COVID year, when the SEC played nothing but the SEC, I don't think everybody wants that. I'm pretty certain Vandy doesn't, since they went 0 for whatever year it was. I mean, do you really think that's what the SEC people want, is nothing but 10 or 12 straight weeks of them against them? I don't.
No, you got to figure it out. I just don't know how all this is going to unfold itself in the coming years. I really don't. I worry about teams like having to fold up shop because they just can't make it in today's game, because it's all predicated off money, and the big conferences have it, the small conferences don't. And it's just it's going to have to be something that's worked out in the next couple of years. And I worry about the game of football because it's been such a part of my life. It's why I'm here. That's what everybody knows me from. I love the game of football, but like the way it's going now and the way this NIL and the transfer portal stuff is, I'm not a big fan of it right now, but I understand times change, and I understand that you have to change with them. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm with you, Kelly. I just, it's going to be hard to revert back to what we had 3-4 years ago. It's
not going back.
Yeah.
No, we're not going back. But it does seem to me that it's time for the little guys to say enough. You know, we'll go create our own deal.
Yeah, but they don't hold the cards, George. They don't hold any of the cards. Like, I don't know. I'm with you. Maybe go like the group of 5. They've talked about that. Like the group of 5 has their own national championship. Like, get a deal with ESPN. Like FCS is coming to Nashville next year. Get a deal. Like you can do that. Like there's so much media out there now. Like every game, even if you're at a small school, ESPN's done a great job of getting all that around the country, and you can watch that stuff on ESPN Plus and get your own deal going. Like get your own deal going and quit worrying about what everybody else. Just worry about what you got at your division, at your level, and then go about it that way.
Well, let me take this and be ugly for a second. So the college football playoff just named Chris Massaro, the athletic director at MTSU, as part of that panel. Okay, at some point, and look, I'm thrilled for Chris because it's basically saying that amongst his peers, they think he has real value. But, you know, there's probably a part of him saying, what the hell do I need to be in this for?
Oh, absolutely.
The people I represent will never be a part of this. I mean, it's Boise State a year ago, and there wasn't anybody else anywhere close. And the truth of it is, Boise State wasn't all that competitive in that game. It wasn't embarrassing, but it wasn't, it wasn't must-watch TV either. So what is the answer? Until they fight back, I think they're going to continue to get messed on. I cleaned that up pretty good, didn't I?
I'm with you about Chris too. Like maybe he can help, but like, what do you help? Like you're in Conference USA, and do these people really want to listen to that? Do the Greg Sankeys of the world want to listen to that? They really don't. So I don't know how he could help. I'm with you. Like you got to be thinking, like, what can I help with this? I'm at a smaller school. I'm at a mid-major. I'm at Conference USA. Like what can I help with this? But I think you've got to. The group of five's got to have their own deal. The FCS has got their own deal. I think the group of five's got to have their own deal because if you get down to the group of five, that's some really good football as well. I mean, it's not SEC level. I get it, but like it's competitive, and there's some good players in that division, and there's good players in all divisions. You just got to go find them. But it's going to be interesting to see in the next couple of years just how this thing winds itself out.
Guess what's next?
I'm sure your stat of the day. Is that what we're doing?
No, we've
No.
done that.
Oh,
Bet of
that's
the
right.
day.
My bad. Bet of the day. Sorry. Not stat
Plaster
of the
bet
day.
of the
Bet of-
day. We will review last night's situation and then 2 plays near and dear. In other words, SEC territory. Stay tuned.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, March the 7th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at bridgestonearena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. 2 of the best college basketball programs playing right here in Nashville. Act now. Tickets will go quickly. It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Final segment on a Wednesday. It's time for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Got 3 SEC games tonight: Alabama and Florida, Missouri at Oklahoma, and Tennessee at Ole Miss. We'll see where Georgia's going. But first, Take a look at last night. And Mississippi State -7 did not work out as they lost in overtime to Texas, and Baylor was a push.
And Georgia was a win.
Oh, yeah, Georgia won.
Yeah, we just seem to want to, forget that.
Forgot there was
Good job,
3
Billy.
plays last night.
Good job, Billy. Good, nice.
So 1-1-1 will not pay the bills.
No.
No, I mean, it won't even turn the lights on. So we must do better. Even though I've got a good record, 41-35-1. Kelly, we want more, and tonight we will get more. First, we're taking Alabama in Tuscaloosa minus the 3.5, and here's why. The splits, when you look at Alabama basketball, are shocking. When they are at home, other than the loss to Auburn, they have mutilated people, just beat the snot out of them. On the road, not so much. I think Alabama, I'm going to go with the trend that Alabama not only will beat Florida, they will cover and continue the domination inside Coleman Coliseum. That's number one. Number two, I'm taking Tennessee on the road in what will be a very difficult environment. Why? Because I think Tennessee's better. You know, they're fighting for a 1 seed, and there's a reason. They're pretty good. And there's a lot of incentive to try to keep this number 1 seed. Thus, should be plenty of motivation tonight against an Ole Miss team that's good. They'll be in the NCAA tournament. Some nights you get a great Ole Miss. Some nights you don't. And a lot of it falls at the hands of Malik Dia. He is going to have to be great. If he's not, I'm going to be right.
We're going to learn a lot about Tennessee. Last year, if you remember, they were on the 1 seed line, not this late, but pretty late last year too. But they lost at home to Kentucky, and then they lost in their first game in the SEC tournament, and boom, that cut them back to the 2 line. Do they avoid that this year? And this is going to be tough tonight.
This is going to be a tough game.
At Ole Miss, we're going to learn, I think, tonight if Tennessee is truly a 1 seed. Because if they lose tonight, the winner of Alabama-Florida is going to take their spot on that 1 seed line.
Yep.
For now, at least.
Right. Kelly, I know you're supportive. What a joke.
No, I'm not at all.
So you're rooting for both Ole Miss and Florida.
Absolutely. I know you're for Roll Tide.
Well, I am in this case, yes. But if people will listen to me and ignore you, they'll make some cabbage.
For the life of me, I do not understand why Danny Evans keeps answering the phone. But I can say that about a lot of your friends. I just don't understand. But you know what? You've got something there that's just... It baffles me. I don't know.
It's just one of the world's big question marks. Why do they answer his phone call?
Correct.
For tomorrow, Billy, it appears that Kelly is kind of a game time decision. Now, if the truth be known, would you just as soon he hit the door? Or are you looking at Kelly going, gosh, I hope you're with us?
Kelly, I'd love to have you tomorrow.
How phony.
Well said, Billy. That was as phony as it can be.
That really was phony. Okay, we're out of here. Tomorrow on the show, among other things, we'll get a report on the Lipscomb Queens semifinal game in the A-Sun. Lee Fowler, Ron Bargatze, the college basketball insiders will join us. So we got a lot going on. See you tomorrow.